Hey friends, it's me, Erin, your friendly neighborhood energy alchemist with today's Schumann Resonance Report for Monday, May the 19th. Happy Monday, y'all! All right, so here is our graph. This right here, for the last 10 hours or so, I'll show you a closer picture. For the last 10 hours or so we're talking about 6 p.m. yesterday Central Time and going until about now, which is 7 a.m. Okay, so for all of the people telling me this is military time, yes, I know. Also telling me that 1 o'clock is 1 a.m., I realize that this is local Tomsk time, which is 12 hours ahead of me. And because this isn't time travel, I have to subtract 12 hours. That's where I'm getting the time, just a side note. But we've been in this low level release energy for the last like 12 hours or so. This is like that energy I was talking about yesterday. The way I described it yesterday is you're kind of like a jar of jelly. You're born with all this delicious goodness inside of you. And as you go through life, the lid on that jelly gets tightened harder and harder and harder by people around you telling you to keep that all inside and not let that out, right? This red energy comes in as kind of a grippy to help unwind that tight lid on the top of the jelly. It's not necessarily going to take the lid off, but it does make it easier for you to release the things that you're holding back on or pushing down. This often looks like low level triggers being pulled over and over and over. Something that happened for me personally is there was a lot of miscommunication for myself over the weekend with multiple people. And I don't know what was going on, but many times I felt like I would say one thing and the person with whom I was speaking would hear something completely different than what I was saying. It happened in person, on the phone, and through a text message. I am the common factor in this, so I assume it's something that I was doing, but I'm not sure what it was. And I spent like a couple hours yesterday like rereading a lot of the things I wrote and going, what in the world is happening? But it was nice to help me take stock on the way I speak about things and what I'm saying and try to think about that a little bit easier. Sometimes my autistic brain doesn't want to function right. The other thing I want to tell you guys about is that we have a massive coronal hole facing us. This is what it looks like. This is the biggest this coronal hole has ever been, according to any research I can do, and even calling my friend who's a meteorologist and asking him, he said, no, this is the combination of several smaller spots that have kind of moved together. This coronal hole opening up has decreased the number of sunspots that have been coming through because there's no surface area for them to get any grasp. However, when this is like this and it is facing us, the solar winds are very strong. Solar wind speed against the earth can produce a lot of physical symptoms in your body. Anxiousness, nervousness, heart palpitations, and trouble sleeping are the most common things associated with this hole facing us. So if you've been feeling that way and it feels out of place, it could very well be related to this. In that case, there's not a lot you can do. It will rotate away, but it'll take another day or two to actually do that. So we have that on top of this red energy coming in. It tends to make us a little reactive, a little spicy, all the sorts of things. Just be mindful of how you're presenting yourself. Think about what you want to say before you say it, and give yourself permission to pause before actually making a response. That way you're staying in your integrity and you're doing your best to allow the best version of yourself or what you're trying to say or whatever to come forward. All right, and here's our cards for today. So the first card out of the deck is dissension. I know it's uncomfortable when we have this feeling of dissension or contrast, but that dissension comes forward to show us where we have allowed ourselves to become disconnected from our higher selves and encourage us to turn inwards and reconnect. Sometimes that requires you to examine some of the teachings that are in your root, which makes it a little bit more difficult or time consuming or feel like it's taking a lot of effort. However, when you turn inward, it helps you to make better decisions for yourself on where you're going to focus your energy and how you're going to move forward into a better life for yourself. The only way to do that, friend, is by looking inward. And when you do, you help to establish a brighter path for yourself, walking into something that feels better. But again, the contrast that we are experiencing is coming forward to show us where we have become disconnected from ourselves, encouraging us to turn inward and let go of those teachings we're holding on to so we can make better decisions for ourselves to walk into a brighter future. We're back to winter in Illinois. If you've ever lived in Illinois, you know fall spring is over. But we are going to start our day off right, ground ourselves in the present moment, and be ready for anything. Are you ready? Because I am. All right, take a nice big deep breath in. Release. Drop your shoulders and just remember, But today is a great day. It's just getting started. It is barely 7 a.m., but the birds are singing and they're calling you out into your day. There's that dog. What are you going to do with your day? It's a great day, friends. It's a great day. It's great.